I went from planning our wedding to planning to break up, all over a dress. I've not been lucky in love. I thought that I hit the jackpot with my current boyfriend, now fiance, because he was so sweet, funny, caring, and gentle. I love him still. We were discussing marriage and moving in together up until an hour ago, but tonight marked a breaking point. I've been ignoring so many things that he did that made me uncomfortable because the other times were great. I rationalized that he was so much better than my exes. He let me set the pace for our intimate life, but would still push a little more and frame it as exposure therapy, or complain that we tried one thing once but never again, or not soon enough again. He would grope me constantly, pout if I didn't let him, and if I tried to stop him, he'd playfully continue, all while justifying it because it was a compliment that I was just too sexy to resist. It got to the point I was actively avoiding any and all innuendo, or anything that could be considered dirty, and if someone else said something, like heaven forbid pickle, I would start to feel gross and dirty because he'd just give me a look or make an intimacy joke about us depending on company. Before going out to see him, I started wearing biker shorts over my underwear and 2 sports bras to hide my admittedly small chest, and I stopped wearing anything form-fitting, to his vocal disapproval, and I started angling myself so my body was out of easy reach. I stopped sleeping while next to him, lying awake and waiting for when he'd roll over in his sleep off my breasts so I could move toward the edge. If I brought up topics, actions, or comments that made me uncomfortable, he weaseled around it with an excuse and turned it back to me about how I was lashing out at him for no reason. If we went out to eat, he wouldn't look to see if there was anything that I could eat, allergies, and even refused to leave to find somewhere else because a cocktail would be enough for me. Plus, he always made the decision too, because he refuses to eat anything beyond his limited palate and would try just about anything to get out of it. This includes making new plans on the same day as an established date with his friends and inviting me along because he forgot, or complain and pout at the restaurant and be sullen the rest of the night until he got to grope me. I could go on, and that isn't fair to either of us. He has so many good qualities to him, and he'd be well suited to someone more like him. But all it took for me to finally decide to break up was wanting to wear a certain dress tonight. My great-grandmother, who helped raise me, gave it to me for my high school graduation. It has special sentimental value. I feel powerful and confident in it. It's also one of the few dresses and feminine outfits I wear. I wanted to wear it to dinner tonight, but the last time I wore a dress, he tried to grab my ass under the fabric and made a joke about easy access. All I could think about was how I knew that he would leer at me and immediately try to grab and paw at me if I showed up wearing this dress. I didn't want my Graham's dress to be yet another article of clothing that made me feel dirty when I put it on. At dinner tonight, I'll tell him it's not working out and I'll give back the ring. It's just so surreal to think it'll all be over soon. Update. Breaking up with my fiance did not go at all well. During the talk, I tried to keep the focus on me, the things that I do or didn't do that weren't suited to his needs and wants, ways that he deserved better, his positive qualities, how anyone would be happy to have him, and he deserved someone who appreciated him to the fullest. I pointed out my clothing style and work lifestyle, how he hated whenever I would ask him to go to a work party and dress up, to which he asked why we had to break up at all when I could just go to them alone. Problem solved. But when I said it felt unequal considering I went to his functions, he got mad that I was saying he didn't do enough, which I didn't mean to say, and so I apologized. I didn't mean to turn it back on him and try to blame him in the conversation, but it came off that way big time. It turned into an argument all the same, with him pushing me to go on with my laundry list of reasons why he's a horrible person that doesn't give enough despite all that he's done for me. He wouldn't listen no matter how I tried to emphasize that this was on me, not him, that we were just not on the same pages about a few important matters, and going forward into a marriage without those resolved would be a mistake. In hindsight, that was really cruel of me to say. I know I said it all wrong and apologized immediately. I didn't mean to imply he was a mistake, but that's how it came across to him. He expressed his frustration that I let him on and let him think we had a future together when all along I wasn't willing to just try a little harder to meet his needs. He said it showed that he was the only one in love all along, because when you love someone, you give of yourself without keeping tally. When both people give freely, both are happy, but when only one side does, then one partner is slowly breaking down. He brought up how a typical guy would have gone elsewhere when starved of intimacy, that normal couples have intimacy multiple times a week, not just once or twice a week. But he'd been willing to take the scraps and overlook that until I was ready for that level, because he loved me and wanted to spend our lives together. It ended with him telling me that it was fine, then thanking me for finally getting a conscience and sparing him from an intimate less marriage, and wishing me good luck finding a guy who agrees to wait forever.